Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dana. Appreciate it. Kevin, thank you so much for that great introduction. Great question. What is unity? Isn't it all about us working together? Us all working toward the same goal? I truly think that unity or achieving unity is done by caring, helping, and including. If you have the opportunity, please go out to www.achievingunity.com. And on the right side, there's a top side, there is a button that says blog. I've got several articles out there that I would love to have your feedback on. If you take the time to read those and let me know, give me some feedback. Because what is it about achieving unity that sometimes troubles us? How do we struggle in something that is so beneficial for us all to come together, whenever that may be? Speaking of whenever, how many of you remember 1976? A couple of years ago. It was a very memorable year for me. First, I graduated from high school. Yay, I did it. I did make it. And I had a scholarship to the University of Alabama. Okay, it was a scholastic scholarship. I wasn't going to meet Bear Bryant in the process, even though it's his greatest years. But what happened? That was also, though, the United States bicentennial. 200 years of what? Unity of our 50 states, of us building together, to work together across the nation. But guess what happened? Sometime in the third week in July, my brother-in-law and I were coming home after dinner, coming around the curve. Boom! There went the driver's side front wheel. Doing about 45 miles an hour, nothing major, but it threw us into the ditch. When it hit the ditch, boom, hard stop. My brother-in-law, James, was behind the steering wheel. It kept him in. He did get some stitches across the chin, more stitches across the forehead, but guess what? We didn't have seatbelt laws back then. So who didn't have on a seatbelt? I didn't. Hit that ditch, 45 miles an hour. What did I do? Headed for the windshield. I covered, went through the windshield, got huge scars on my hand here, which much bigger before, on my back, 3 huge scars on my head, went right through the windshield. What happened? Flew some 30, 40 feet into the briar patch. My brother-in-law got out, tried to find me, saw my condition. Luckily, it was only about maybe a couple hundred yards from my cousin's house. Ran over there, called the police, called the ambulance, got him there as quick as possible, got me into the ambulance, took me to the hospital. Picayune Hospital is not that big. A neuro unit, somebody working on heads, brains, wasn't there. I got to ride in the helicopter, MASH unit. I'm just kidding. It was not MASH unit. But still got to fly the helicopter up to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where they did have a neuro unit. They took me in, put me into intensive care, got in there, doctor said, oh my gosh, I had to go in and remove glass out of my head from those scars. So they went in, put me on the IV, started pumping that blood into me, keeping me alive, got out, looked at the x-rays. No, there's more. Back into emergency surgery, back into getting more work on me, getting me in there, blood pumping in there, keeping me alive, back out to intensive care. I stayed about 5 days in intensive care. But guess what? I don't remember any of this, not a single moment. But what happened? They were giving me blood. Anybody here been in surgery, tonsils out, whatever it might be? And they put that IV in you and they're giving you that blood. Have you ever thought about where that comes from? One thing that must happen is it must match your blood type. That blood I was receiving, those 9 pints of blood, that love circulation going through my heart, through my body, had to be A positive. A positive? Wow, what's that? Well, did you know there are only 4 blood types? Type A, type B, type AB, and type O. That's it. Now, again, at this time, I'm in southern Mississippi. What's southern Mississippi like? Population, people. Well, when they took me into surgery, my parents were worried about one thing. And what was that? That I lived. They weren't worried about, well, what was that blood my son was receiving? Was he receiving blood from somebody that was his race? We had moved out of southern Mississippi out to New Mexico back in my third grade, back some of the tension years of racial community or lack of community. I moved out into a Hispanic neighborhood in southeastern New Mexico. Here I was back in Mississippi. Where's that blood coming from? Was it my race? Was it my gender? Was I getting a woman's blood? How about the creed or religion of the blood that I was receiving? Was it my culture? How about my income level? Was I receiving blood that may be from somebody that didn't make as much money as I wanted to make? How about my achieved status? The people I was receiving this life circulation from, the same status that I was or wanted to be? What about national origin? Whoa, what about political affiliation? Where was I receiving that blood from? Could it have been that other party? Who knows? Oh, but what if they had been smoking a cigarette? What if that person that donated that blood was covered in tattoos? What if that person had an overabundance of rings inside their body, from ears to how many earrings do they have? Do they have one in their lip, their nose? Do they have one other places? What about that blood that I was receiving that was keeping me alive? Did my parents care? No. The point was, there's 4 blood types in this world, all around the world, no matter where you live. Russia, China, Europe, Antarctica. How many blood types are there? There's 4. A, B, and O. What they wanted was their son to live. That was important. Luckily, I did. Thank the Lord. I did live. Went back home, went through some rehab, couldn't drive for a while, the head injury, whole new world for me. But I did go back to college semester late. Went to Texas Tech University. Lubbock, Texas was only about 100 miles away, close to family. Met a girl, great, wonderful, got married. 5 years later, guess what? Not as great, not as wonderful. She filed for divorce. We had 2 wonderful children. We went into the divorce court. And what happens? Well, if you remember back about 1989, early 90s, we had what was called the deadbeat dad syndrome. Way too much focus on gender in divorces. They had that one man, one male, that won the lottery and ignored his family. Didn't help his spouse, didn't help his children, took the money for his friends, partying, all those things, and then guess what? I was labeled. I was a deadbeat dad. And my judge in that divorce was even later removed from the bench because of some of the decisions that were made. But she had sole custody. Luckily, I had good parenting time. And luckily, I changed that term, helped change that term later. The term Colorado statutes was visitation for a parent. Well, back in about 1992, we changed that term from visitation to parenting time. I'm not a visitor in my own child's life. Are you? No. That was a prejudice. That was a lack of unity of all who we are. Remember, all of us. How many blood types are there? 4, no matter where we live. Did I get angry? Probably. Did I hate the system, judicial system? Or did judicial become prejudicial? I was furious. It was unbelievable. They later let my children even leave the state. More issues. Tremendous pain and sorrow and hurt. So what do we need to do? We need to work together on achieving unity. We need to end all levels of anger, hate, or prejudice toward each other, regardless of our blood type, regardless of any situation that comes about, of who we are, how we got here, or where we are going. We are brothers and sisters. 4 blood types, A, B, AB, and O, no matter where we are. No matter where we are, we can realize that we are all the same, no matter where we lived, no matter where we grew up, no matter our race, creed, color, sexual orientation, gender, we are the same. We are together. We are unity. As I asked earlier, what is unity? Unity is us caring, helping, and including each other, no matter what our blood type may be. Do you know your blood type?